Yeah. If you can just elaborate, I know you said this was an outline of the security plan, business plan.
Sure.
So maybe if I can just get some clarity and just, bounce a couple things off of you here.
Sure, and if I can't answer, Michael is here to answer.
Great. Security guard to patron ratio. Industry standard calls in this type of establishment 1 to 50. You have the short window of operation that you're open. It's kind of hard to say, oh, you have these slow hours. If you were open for lunch, I could see having a few less than you do in the evening hours, but you really are open the peak bar hours where you would need the full capacity. Because you even talk in your business plan about hitting capacity numbers and not allowing further numbers in.
Protocol in place, yes.
Sure, and some of those protocols. So what are we talking about for security guards to the number inside, people at the doors, because as I understand, people can only come in through the front, but it's a push bar at the back.
Yes.
But that doesn't stop the patron from opening and letting people in if you don't have a guard there, as well as, there's parking in the rear of the building, harder to see. Are we talking guards out there? What is,
I can tell you this.
Clarify the plan a little better for me.
Michael will help clarify that this is and again, we're trying to work with the police department. This is one of the major things we're trying to get going for him when we got on board in the last 45 days.
So we don't have a full security plan to that level?
Well,
detail.
Michael, you want to explain how you handle it now?
Okay. You said you need to know, like, as far as like how many security guards that I have going there in there during the peak hours.
What's your plan for male, female? Because you have female patrons as well. So female security versus male security, handling the doors.
Okay.
How many you're going to have inside.
I'll just give you a quick rundown.
Are you?
It's operating in the inside.
Sure.
We have a security guard that works at the main entrance where everyone comes in at. He's the one that checks the IDs.
Do you use a swiper to track people?
No.
Have you thought about it?
I never knew about one. That's the first time I've heard.
It's used a lot in bars, and not only does it check to make sure that IDs are not artificial, fake. If you have a ban list for people you've had to have removed, it would allow your security to know that those people have already been removed from your establishment, and have been banned, so that they don't have to look at a master list like right away. It just signals, this guy's not allowed in. He's a troublemaker, we keep him out. It's kind of like a POS system. It's an industry standard, kind of like the wands are, as part of security. That's why I'm asking, have you thought about using some of these, this technology to help you? You're a young guy, I assume young people know more than me about this stuff usually.
Yeah, I mean, now that you mentioned it, I will,
maybe it's worth looking into to keep some of the riffraff out that you are aware of going forward.
From that point, he checks the IDs. If they're over age, he'll give them the ID back, depending on if it's male or female. Females we use the wand for both male and female. But you're not allowed to go on females first. Like reach your hand in there. So all you can do is open it up and look in it with a flashlight, and kind of look around like that. But that's how we operate with that. And with the males, we don't just wind them; we wind them and we hand pack, everywhere just to feel. And from that point on, we have security guards stationed in certain parts of the bar. Mainly, we make sure we have a security guard on each door that we have in the bar. So that way they're monitoring the doors, making sure no one can open up the door and let someone else in. And we make sure we have 2 to 3 security guards at least in the main area part of the bar, which is the dance floor. It's the dance floor in the bar.
We have 4 based on your occupancy. If you're busy and turning people away, at least besides for your door people. I mean, I'm just saying, as a bar person, that's usually what the security protocol is in this type of
And it's not an everyday thing. It's really based on if we have parties booked, then we know we're going to expect more people. Every day isn't to capacity, even just for that Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. It's not a...
capacity would actually say 6, but that's what I'm saying. For a pretty decent Friday, Saturday night, you probably need at least 4 inside, plus your doors.
Right. Well, I was just saying every night we don't really hit capacity. It's not all, it's not always packed. It depends on if there's an event or if we have a lot of parties, but we pretty much have security based on how we estimate the night to go.
Right. Because
Better to have them there and let them leave early than to have a crowd rush in and you not be prepared to handle the problem. You know, because, you know, you're liable for providing a safe place for your guests. So, okay. Go on with the, like, what about parking lot? Your safety thing talks about, like, when people leave. You know, my concern is, you know, the parking lot's in the back. That kind of invites trouble.
well,
You know, because they're out of sight, you know, they're kind of hidden back there. And I know you were talking about cameras, but I'm assuming you're not, are you going to have a security guard just monitoring your cameras?
No,
Or-
I mean, what we do is we have a
office.
security, we rotate our security guards, have them go outside every so often to monitor, walk around the parking lot and check. Once we let out, once we clear the bar out and we get everybody outside, my security then go outside to go, all of them.
But you will be monitoring during your
Yes.
open hours, like no loitering signs out there and that walkway between the parking lot and the front of the building?
Yeah, I mean,
There's a
normally we're not
camera.
having that problem right now just because it's cold, but maybe, you know.
When it
once
warms
the
up, it's a
summer-
lot nicer to hang out outside and it's definitely an area where things can occur and
Right.
you want your patrons, again, to feel safe parking back there. Having safe ingress, egress to and from the building. And right now, I'm not knowing, I don't feel that the plan addresses that. You know, so maybe that's something you go over with your security team in addition.
Okay.
You talked about in this plan that your employees, your bartenders specifically, do you guys utilize servers as well?
No.
No, so it's just bartenders
Right.
serving? Oh, do they go through any kind of certification training, you know, when it comes to safe alcohol service or is this just your company policy? The reason I ask that is, like you said, you've been a manager, but you haven't been an owner previously. You know, what makes you qualified to give that training and maybe implementing, you know, do you
Like
have a
Serve Safe,
certification?
Like the
Yeah,
Serve Safe, if you were manager of a restaurant or a bar, that you know about Serve Safe, that everybody has to have
Right.
holding the Serve Safe card.
Yeah, no, I've never went through them. It's just more so like, you know, based on like their information or their resume experience that we hire like that as far as bartenders.
Okay.
Yeah.
So security personnel, bartenders, they don't go through any kind of certification process for,
I mean, not for nothing like
Inebriation
that.
and-
I mean, mixologists, like they go to bartending school. I don't know exactly what they learn in there, but you know, they get a certificate for that, you know. But as far as like, I don't know what they actually learn in there.
there's like online programs even for these serving training that you can
The school
subscribe
usually-
to.
The mixology schools all have that.
Right.
You know, so.
You know, but you can do private certification that you, as a bar owner, can subscribe to for all your employees and they log on. You know, they take the training classes online via video, they answer questions and they get a certification that they've gotten some kind of training that meets certain industry qualifications.
Okay.
You know, again, I wasn't sure what kind of training, just saying training, hey, don't give it to them if they're drunk. Is that
Right.
the curriculum? You know, what makes you the expert or even them knowing what is drunk, what is inebriated, at what point? You know, so sometimes something beyond just training, you know, saying that. I also have an issue with that we're just going to generally mace the back, you know, if people aren't dispersing quickly enough and call the police. That almost seems like escalating a situation.
Well, no, it's not.
Quickly.
It wasn't spoken. I mean, I don't know if he reworded it wrong, but I mean, we use that. The only time we use mace is in a physical altercation.
If the party refuses to leave, then they will be warned that mace will be used to control the situation and the police will be called. It doesn't say anything about physical, just that they're not leaving.
Well, it should, no, it was supposed to be, it should have
That
been more
seems
so, yeah.
a little,
This protocol is something.
I know
we can
everybody else
work-
is talking about, you know,
we can work
extremes, that
with-
seems on that.
We can work with the
side.
police department to further that inside and outside incident protocol. We tried to send a copy over to see for some input. Again, that's an issue Michael knows that we need to secure up, for lack of using security twice. And I can tell you, Michael is trying to do his best and is open to all kinds of suggestions. And I have clients that would not even entertain doing things differently. He's here trying to make a great go of it, as a Maple Heights resident. And, you know, we're here to present to you how we're trying to go forward and be that productive member.
Well, I guess that's why I'm trying to get the clarification, like, how much have you thought about some of this, you know?
I mean, yeah.
My job isn't to run a bar, and I seem to be throwing out quite a bit that you're like, I haven't thought about.
Well, yeah, I mean, as far as, like I said, with the Mace situation, that's only if it's a physical altercation
Okay,
outside.
so that needs to be clarified in this
Right.
protocol. Maybe another
Right.
typo there, that we should have added that was only in the case of self-defense and physical.
Self-defense, yes.
Is there any dress code at your establishment?
Yes.
And what is that dress code?
No white t-shirts, like no plain t-shirts, you know, and no hoodies, like as far as hoods over your head. And I mean, that's really it as far as the winter time. You can't really, like, as far as dress code, like everybody comes in pretty dressed warm and stuff like that as far as coats and stuff. But the summertime is more implemented, you know, because you have people out, you know, wearing whatever in the summertime. So in the summertime, we try to implement it more as far as the dress code, meaning like, you know, baggy clothes and stuff like that.
What are you trying to encourage versus discourage with your dress code?
More of a casual, like, you know, like more of a casual and lounge type feeling.
Okay. And what are you trying to discourage by the dress code?
I mean, we're just trying to discourage people from feeling that they can come in there any type of way, because most people who come in there dressed however are the main people that are going to come in there and do whatever.
Okay. I read your food servicing, and it says that you'll be getting the food provided off-site. Will this be provided per order, or will you be getting in stuff like at the beginning of a shift that you plate, that's, you know, like you get a big tray of wings and then you plate it and serve? Is that,
I mean, how it goes is it's prepared off, and they bring it in based on the type of night that they feel that it's going to be. They bring a certain amount in, and it's placed on warmers and stuff like that to keep it warm.
okay.
And they serve it in like
Like your bartenders
containers.
prep it based on the order?
Right.
Okay, and where do they do that? Is that all behind the bar? It wasn't clear on your blueprint, like where food prep was.
They prep it off.
Well, if you have like a big
But where do
tray
we serve
of
that?
warmer, yeah, and then
It's
like
in
somebody
the back.
orders 10 wings versus 3, you know, it looked like they could order a 10-pack or a dinner, or, so
It's in the back. It's a back storage room.
so it's in the storage room that you're actually
Right.
prepping the
Cheerios
plate.
does all of it. Cheerios brings the food in, they have the warmers, and Cheerios serves it to the patrons.
Right.
But
Oh, they handle the service as well?
Yes.
I got a
Okay.
question. So you say you're using an off-site catering company, but you're selling it at your establishment.
I'm not selling.
No, but I'm just saying, is Cheerios selling it? Are they selling tickets for food in your establishment?
Cheerios is selling the food.
So they're standing there selling food. They're behind the
they're
table with
they're
your
behind the
chauffeurs,
table, yes.
standing there selling food.
Yes.
So you don't have a food license at that establishment.
We have a food permit.
You do have a food
It's
permit.
not, it's a food permit, yeah, we got the
At
food
your
permit.
establishment, you have a food permit.
Right.
Right.
It's, I don't remember which level it is, it's not the one for us to prepare it, that's why they bring it in.
Right.
But we do have a food permit, we had to get it just to serve, just to have ice in there, so.
One of the they came and took a picture of it actually when they were in there Friday.
Yeah.
Mr. Reed, may I ask?
Can I see?
I'm sorry, I'm sorry.
You know, you can come up here.
I'm sorry.
Mr. Reed, about to ask, I see that, you know, there's some struggles here, that you're trying to pull this thing together.
Right.
And, you know, even as an owner or CEO, you're not gonna be the expertise on everything. That's why you get outside people to come in and help you. And get outside lawyers to help you with the law.
Right.
You may have to reach out to the police department to help you with security, and that's all understandable. Because I admit, it seemed doom and gloom on paper, it really did. But actually being able to hear you speak for it yourself, just help you with understanding what your struggles are, what you're dealing with. You've been investing a lot of money in this for about a year now?
Yes.
We've invested longer than we had investors before we opened, so yes.
You know, so what you're trying to do is genuine, but it's how to do it, and you're performing in the industry that's unfortunately brings a lot of issues, alcohol, and we know that. And as you can see, the weight is more on the side of safety here. And that's, in my opinion, is going to dictate the city. How can we make sure that the community, nobody can be 100%, but that the community is safe, that the police department is comfortable. You know, Heather had just mentioned some ideas that it sounds like you are open to. And I guess, you know, I could comment that some type of security, you know, I don't really want to call it an expert, or someone who knows more about security than you, I think would be helpful for your establishment. Because, like you don't have all the answers, but I think that's the biggest issue here. And I guess I can, to you or your wife, you know, how can you make the board comfortable that you can make it safer?
Bottom line is you've had 51 calls. Your lawyer has stated that not all those calls are, I think maybe the property owner has stated that not all those calls were by your patrons. Okay, well, let's say this half. That's 25. Still way too many. And I don't know if you guys know anything about liquor licenses or anything like that. When you guys call 911 at your establishment, there's a blemish on your liquor license. There's a black mark, as they call it in the food industry, on your liquor license. Even though you're not holding the liquor license. Good for you, because at the end of the day, you'd be blemished 25 times, if not 50. There's a reason why people with liquor licenses and food licenses are held to a way higher standard than everybody else. It's because you're dealing with all kinds of people that can just come and go as they please. There's no select person. Anybody off the street can walk in. Anybody driving from out of town can come in. That's why you guys are held to these higher standards. It's not for any other reason except that when we hear 51 or 25 phone calls to the police department in 1 year, everybody's got to look at that, and I don't care who you are, you got to look at that and say, what is the problem here? What can be solved here? And what is the solution?
If I can interject though, in all fairness to you both, you want to put your money, you invested your money. So you tell us, what are you going to do differently in regards to safety? Could you?
Before they
That's a fair question.
Yes, Mr. Senator, before they tell you that, I will tell you that if you look at the timing of these calls, that the steps that he's taking are working because they're becoming less and less than they used to be. Now, I don't know if that's because there was a culture that Michael and Marquita inherited there, and there was a culture that took some time to diminish, but the calls themselves are diminishing.
Or it could be the weather.
Or it could be the weather, but you know what?
Could be. I'm just
But I think they're actually are adapting to some of the things they need to change. And yes, they're not security experts, but they are open to suggestions from a very good police department and very good security guards. And that doesn't happen all the time because sometimes, as you know, with the bottom line, people say no. This is a couple that has not said no to us once with a bottom line, including the fact of just the initial site plan.
But your reference is 45 days. So I don't look at that as much reference. You're using 45 days as a reference. I'm using the last 13 months as my reference.
Well, you can use that as your reference. I can only tell you that without some advice, things don't change. And this is a couple that is listening to advice and is making change. And I think that's important.
To be honest, our our business has actually picked up more in the fall and winter than it was in the summertime.
I drive by every Friday and Saturday night, so I see what goes on in your establishment.
Right. No, I'm just saying that because you're saying maybe it's the weather, but actually in the summer we were slower than what we were now.
I'm sure just as in general, your guys are picking up more and more, and I'm sure by this summer it's going to be crazier than now. I can almost promise it.
And that's why it's important that they're coming forward now, trying to do.
I understand it, but have you ever heard the saying, $1 late, $1, real short? We're not saying that's where you're at, but I'm just saying, but when you look at black and white, I'm a black and white guy. When I look at stuff and I read it and it's black and white, and I see 51 calls, I page through and I see assault, discharge a firearm, assault, burglary, car break-in, armed. I mean, they're not petty things. You know, if there were petty things, we wouldn't be talking to you about it. If they're not, somebody was smoking in a non-smoking area. It wasn't somebody smoking inside your restaurant. It was somebody discharging a firearm in your parking lot that came out of your establishment. Those are the things we're concerned about. We're not concerned about the petty stuff. So I'm not trying to be the hard one on you at all. I just want you to know that personally, as a resident of Maple Heights, and that's who I'm looking out for right now, and that's the only concern I have. It's not the business owners. It's the residents of the Maple Heights district. So I look at that and say one thing is, and say to myself that I'm looking for one thing only, is would I want them next to me in my house? Because I'm a Maple Heights resident, so that's the people I have to think about. And after I look at black and white, I'd say no because of the 51 calls.
So we cut Heather off.
Oh, I'm sorry.
She was still speaking. I'm sorry.
Sorry, Heather.
That's okay.
I appreciate it.
I just a few more questions. What is your protocol for hiring bartenders, employees, whether that be, I shouldn't just say bartenders, because I know if eventually that'll break down into servers, and obviously you're looking at just expanded security protocols, so there'll be some of those type of employees, but what are the criteria, what kind of background checks, drug testing, what is your plan on screening, vetting employees who are going to be representing you in your day-to-day operations, you know, and what kind of criteria are you placing on them, and what will you be looking for when hiring people?
As far as the bartenders, we look at the experience that they've had at previous places. We actually call their previous employers, even if they have employers to where it wasn't an actual bar or wherever, you know, if they worked at Red Lobster and they were a server or bartender there, then we call that establishment and just see what kind of employee they were, you know, like anywhere else. We don't drug test or background check our employees. But we just go off of that and just go off their personality when we actually interview them, just their background history as far as.
So interviewing the last employer reference is your criteria?
Right, in their experience to see how, you know, how long they've been in the business as a bartender.
Okay. On your design plans for the site itself, you talk about some private lounges that have walls, at least from what my appearance on the drawings are. These private lounge areas do not have cameras in them, nor does it seem that any security will be positioned in them. So we have no access, no view for bartenders, for security.
It's completely open.
Okay, so how does this work then?
It's enclosed, but it's all windows. You can see straight in there. It's a window door. It's inside. It's not a room. It's not a blocked off room where there's a door and you go.
Can you show me? That might be helpful,
Yeah,
rather than trying to.
Is it like a glass room?
Yeah, it's pretty much like a glass room, and it's actually where everybody else is. They're just enclosed, so no one else can go in. It's not like a separate room where you go in the door and nobody knows what's going on inside there.
Yeah, we thought maybe, you know, like some of those little private
you can see right in
couch
there.
areas.
Yeah, and they actually had it before we went in. Before we were there, they had the stuff where you can't see in, but you can see out. We took that off.
So
it's
on the window.
you can see straight there.
Go that way to see both of them.
Okay,
So
I was
you can see it
looking
at the table.
while you were looking.
Have, in your year of being there, what exactly are you using these? Is this like for when you have a private party, or is it
VIP.
open during the eve? It's VIP?
Yeah, like if someone wants, you know, if
Like
you have
bottle
a party,
service, that kind of stuff?
Yeah, and if you have a party, you want to, you know, have to be separate but still there. It's for that.
Okay, so you could call and like reserve the
Yeah.
private room for the night. I'm coming up there. We're having a birthday party, 15 people, whatever. Okay. Any other uses for these rooms that you guys use them now for? Anticipate usage, or?
And is there only one?
Yes.
Okay, there's only one of those
And
rooms?
the rest are just booths, which are.
Okay, so those are just open to the restaurant.
Right.
That's its only,
What's the second one?
that's the only VIP section per se?
Because it kind of shows two on here. They both say maybe it's just mismarked on your
Well, it's
plans.
another room, but there's nothing in there. There's a separate, it was an office, but we don't.
Can you show me up here which one is an office now and not a private lounge? I've been looking at these plans.
Yeah, those items are labeled by the end.
That's another office.
This is an office.
Right.
So this is the only one, this is the one you showed me the picture of.
Right.
So this is now an office. Okay. So this is a closed off room. Patrons can't get into, right? It's just for you guys. Got it. Got it, okay. And one thing about just some general things, that hanging thing and appearance, front of your building, there's something that has been hanging off the awning.
Yeah, that's it.
Here, I can show you this draping thing right underneath your front sign. I know it's kind of snowy the day I snapped the pic while I was about to stop the picture for it. What's going on with that? I mean, it's been like that for quite some time.
Right.
So obviously, things break. There's not
It's just gotta be.
my parents owned a grocery store for a lot of years. Something broke, you fixed it right away. Because this is your appearance on the street. This looks like, it doesn't even look like it's an open bar, I mean, it's kind of falling apart there.
The windows were like that when we got there, and you can't take it off.
And so, do we have a plan for fixing that? What about
It's just
the front of the building, making this more, right now, it looks like a dive. I mean, you're telling me you want to do what's right, you want to, keep people safe. The outside, I'm telling you, I've lived in this city for years. I know you guys, you live next door to my cousin. I know you're good people. You got a cute little house, you keep a nice family, love your dogs, I'm scared to go to your bar. I'm telling you right now, I'm scared to go to your bar. Make me feel safe to come there and patronize your place. I've lived in this city since 1976. My family has been here since the 1950s. We are still here. Make me feel safe patronizing my neighborhood bar. Sell it.
That's it.
I mean, the main reason we actually wanted to open a bar is because, like you said, I was been here since I was 1 or 2. He went to school here. We actually opened it because we are being community. These are people we grew up with. When we would go out, we would say there's no bar, no place for us to go to enjoy ourselves. So we opened it up to have the city come here. Unfortunately, yes, it does bring outside people as well from different cities. Like I said, it's a trial and error process. We're trying everything that we can to try to make this, more safer, every way that we know possible. We're trying different things. We got the armed security guard on there now, to try to, deter from different, certain people from coming. We have banned certain people from the old bar that was coming in to, not to patron there anymore.
That's honestly been the biggest problem since I took over the bar. It's just because the bar had a bad rep for all these years that no matter who the owner is, the same people tend to come, and it's just a matter
Maybe
of...
all the more reason to start
Right.
tracking your people at the door.
Good suggestion.
So it's just a matter of us just trying to weed out a lot of these people, so it's